When Women Speak and New Jersey Poetry Events presents When People Speak, Poetry and Conversation with pop-up poetry guests. Our pop-up poetry lineup will be
one of the things that we like to pride ourselves with here on When People Speak is we give that venue, we give that space for those out there that want to share their voices, that want to enlighten others, that want to set off sparks, that want to engage in good conversation and intellectual vibrations. So therefore, Mr. Keith, you are on our stage.
Well, thank you for giving me the platform. I want to salute Mr. James Ellerby. That dude is a true inspiration with consistency, excellence, integrity. He's a valuable contributor, not only to the poet world, but just to the messaging of Black folks. And you, sister, I've been actually watching you this time, and you're extremely articulate and engaging. I thank you for what you represent. You are needed. You have a knack of making people feel comfortable from my observation, and that's very important in this world. Comfortable enough to speak our truth and to be honest with ourselves. So I thank both of y'all.
We try very hard. This is a space that a poet can come out and just kind of just break loose and just give. And that's what it's all about, just giving. So James is going to share your bio so that everybody knows who they have in front of you. He's going to read that for us.
Yes. Author, entrepreneur, Keith Nweze is a Houston, Texas native, born to Cecile, am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, sir.
Elliot and Ike Nweze. At a young age, Keith and his family relocated to the borderline of Maplewood and Irvington, New Jersey, where he later became a basketball varsity leader at Columbia High School and again for the Gothic Knights at New Jersey City University. His interest in sociology and passion for helping people earned him key positions at agencies such as the Department of Youth and Family Services, Pre-College Upward Bound Program. Let me pronounce that right. Hyacinth?
Yeah, Hyacinth Foundation.
Hyacinth Foundation, and currently the Department of Health and Communication Wellness in Newark, New Jersey. Keith's community-based work is social services sector, and his love for hip-hop music helped shape his passion for poetry. He finds it fascinating that thought-provoking dialogue can spark from 7 lines of text. Out of that same passion, his company, Raw Thoughts, LLC, was birthed. Raw Thoughts became the platform Nweze used to self-publish 6, you heard me right, 6 masterpieces, including his latest work, Struggle and the Black Collection. His credits go on and on. I mean, this brother is a writer's writer, an author's author. Help me bring to the show the one, the only, Keith Nweze. Yes.
So I just want to know, we're going to converse with Brother Keith first, or we're going to let him show his stuff? Because I do have a question in whatever your answer is, James. So we're going to have this conversation about his work, or Okay. Well, before you start with, I know you have a barrage of questions. You always do, Brother James Ellerby. I know you have something for Keith. Keith, I got to ask this question. Hip hop, is it poetry?
Yeah, it's the highest form.
It's the highest form. Okay. Absolutely. One day I want to have a whole program on that discussion.
Yeah. No, these are professors that come through your Hot 97s and Power 105s. These are scholars that grace your VH1s and MTVs, etc. They're minimized because that's been the overreaching plan of the oppressor to minimize us, minimize who our griots and who our ancestors are. The messengers So poetry is the oldest language, first language, the most popular. We're in an age where it's consumed by performance.
Mm,
I try to construct my books to where people do something for their brain.
mm.
So
I love
my
that.
talent within itself is to be a hip hop representative within the pages of books.
Wow, I love
Mm.
that. I love that response. James, you want to ask Mr. Keith something, don't you? I know you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I told you he's a writer's writer. But my first question, first of all, your book. We definitely got to talk about your book, Struggle.
Mhm.
Um, got Struggle right here. Got my copy right here, Struggle.
Thank you for the love and respect and the support.
Definitely, definitely. And we'll definitely throw up your information on as well. But tell us about this book, Struggle, because it's very interesting. I want to know about this book, about your book, and I also want to know the process behind writing it because it's very unique, but I'll have you tell it. So tell us about Struggle.
But by far, it's my most outside of my kids. It's my most honest conception to date.
Mm,
You really get to know me, and not the glamorous, not the representative that we try to put in front of us. You get to know me, my mistakes, my internal struggles. It chronicles is broken up into four parts. The first two chronicle my struggles of being providing services, whether it be as a bouncer for a renowned strip club, Jersey Girls, or as a case manager at a state organization called titled DIFIS.
mm,
Book is very therapeutic. It was the toughest thing that I ever had to write because the topics were still moving, they were still active. They're precious to not only me but to the people that I'm responsible for. But at the same time, I felt like that I needed to show my struggles and, as an example to inspire honest conversation, whether it be on platforms like this or in intimate settings in bedrooms or on couches. We have to learn how to express our pain, our frustration effectively. And, the book just chronicles me on one side of the spectrum where I'm breaking up fights and returning kids to homes to the other side of the spectrum where I'm in the fights and, I'm going through difficulties with my own kids and show how, life can be very short. It can show you both sides of the coin if you're blessed enough to live that long. And, I just wanted to lay it all out there for the reader.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw your book up there. It's right on Amazon. Um, so, definitely get your copy, Keith Nweze, Struggle. But also, so like, I mean, when I'm reading the book, let me just pull up. Um, it's very introspective. Like, I mean, you really paint the picture of what it was like being a bouncer in some hostile environments, um, uh, some moments where you see beauty in places that other people wouldn't see beauty, and a whole lot of ugly um, in places where people struggle with their, whatever problems that they have in their life. But I love this quote. This is on page 16 of your book. It says, ironically, when I started bouncing, I learned my self worth and self respect. I learned to disarm people with my eyes and
Mm.
maintain a balanced tone when speaking to them. Communication was my go to. And in the club setting, nonverbal communication was key. I mean, that right there, I mean, just you having that perspective of, because you have to learn how to diffuse situations, and a lot of it is they say go ahead, I'm sorry.
Or have good health insurance.
Right, I mean, like, you know I use, I'll throw it out there. One of my vices, long time ago, long past, was I loved the club. I loved the club scene too much. It was detrimental to me, and in terms of my well-being, my finances, and everything. Um, but a lot of what you speak about in your book, I've seen. So it like really, really hit me hard. Um, like, I mean, like, why struggle? Like, what kind of struggle? You
Mhm.
know?
I mean, well, the book is set, the setting is in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and my days within itself was a struggle because they would start at 9 o'clock, and I would be dealing with family struggle, abuse and
Mm,
neglect struggle, systematic struggle, and then it would carry on into from 10 to 3 in the morning, and I would be dealing with the struggles of dancers or young girls who are forced to be dancers or
mm,
hustlers who are dealing with trauma of the corner activities coming into what they would call a safe haven environment
mm,
and just dealing with so many elements at once. And in order to go home safe every night, because these are my jobs, so the motivation is to earn money. I had to really study my environment. I had to study the people that I interacted with. I had to understand how did I fit into this? What was my strengths? What was my weaknesses? And when you're dealing with removing kids from a household or removing someone from a fight, you go from a 0 to 100 intensity level. And
mm,
after processing that, after your heart rate goes down, you analyze what happens, you come up with strategies. You come up with
mm,
strategies of how you approach it, you'll come up with strategies about how you will heal yourself, you'll come up with strategies about how you can prevent it from ultimately happening. Some of those strategies are effective, most of them aren't. Those are a struggle within itself.
mm,
By the time this idea of capturing this moment, I was 7 years bouncing at the time. 6 years bouncing and 7 years working at Dyfus. So
mm,
I had a collection of experiences, of memories, of good and bads, of mistakes, and I was entering my own internal struggle where I put myself in a compromising position to understand that we go through things, we make mistakes, all of us, all of us. I want to emphasize that,
mm,
even our presidents, our popes, but it's how you look in the mirror and it's what you're willing to do after you make that mistake that will define your character. And this book is a testament to that. To answer your question, Jersey Girls was a moving entity. I mean, it was from celebrities to very beautiful, voluptuous women to people with endless cash to throw in the air, and that's not an environment that I frequent. So it was something that I studied out of sheer amazement, but at the same time, I needed to analyze what this world was that I was in every night. And
mm,
these are some of my analyses that are in the book.
mm, mm, mm,
Well, I'm looking forward to. I haven't had the opportunity to read the book as of yet, but I'm looking forward to picking up. I think I have a copy, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to check when I get off of the program, but I'm looking forward to reading it. Um, as James has asked you about publication, I'm more interested now in knowing you about your poetry in terms of what does poetry do for you that nothing else can.
Oh, well, for me, it's my vehicle of expression. I follow the same path like a lot of our brilliant young African American males did do, where I wasn't a reader. I wasn't comfortable expressing myself until a certain age. And once I found confidence and comfortability in expressing myself, I landed into the first question that you asked me, hip hop. I listened for 10 to 15 years innately, and I had these rhyme schemes and these stories and these metaphors and similes that were floating around my head, and I had to practice and learn how to structure them. And as I put time in, I got more and more confident with it. My performance came from posting and people reading and giving me reaction. And the people are the reason why I have 6 books, period. Black women,
mm,
to be specific. They prop me up. They let me know they're honest with me. But I just believe that this is it's very therapeutic to capture your ideas, not only for yourself but people who are reading them. It's a beautiful art form. It's something that has so many styles, so many things that you can kind of dissect and appreciate by it. Like for example, I appreciate the way James pronounces his words, the way he
mm,
projects,
Mm.
how he
mm,
lives with each word,
mm,
And as I come to know your style of these things that I appreciate about you. Some people say that I'm good at capturing emotion, painting pictures in small spaces. It's something I'm trying to create. So I'm just humbled by it. That's number one. That's my biggest tool. I say this to anybody who's writing. If you're humble to the art form, you'll get better each time your right hand moves. But if you feel like you're bigger than it and you can't say anything more or better than what you already said, and you already failing, not only yourself but your readers.
Mm.
Well, I'm getting kind of anxious here, James. I'd like to hear some of his work.
Me too. Me too. Definitely.
So how about we have the stage?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you want me to go consecutive or one and then we come back? And how would y'all like for me to put
Well,
that?
we'll do two, and
Okay.
then we'll come back, and talk some more. Definitely.
Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for just kicking it on this platform. When people speak is very, very important, and just appreciate y'all. The first piece that I'm gonna read to you is just kind of talking about my bouncer life. I kind of captured the perspective of a dancer, someone who's trying to hold on to integrity in an atmosphere that's compromising it every second. Name of the poem is "Story of Money and Dignity." It's a dirty game. We usually change our names to keep permanent stains off our dignity. I'm clean if you believe enough in yourself to believe in me. The trail marks on my bare back are only injections of stability. My smile, this smile, won't guarantee social mobility. Neither will those eyes. Don't you see? Old man Raheem only tips the ones with shapely booties. My secrets and thin bone family don't know how I eat. It's been a decade since I exchanged words with my daddy. He used to sing to me in his arms. I remember those Caribbean bedtime melodies. Them other girls be winding and hoeing for free. Not me. I remember daddy saying, you must work hard in this country. Lord knows the shit I put up with to get this money. I also remember daddy saying, make the money. Don't let the process of making it take your dignity. He told me that at 17, right before he left mom and me. I committed his parting words to memory. So that's a story of money and dignity. The next piece is going to be from the my DIFUS experience. The chapter is titled Day. The piece is titled Four Sponsors, One First Responder, and Me. Essentially, I'm in the perspective of the kids that I used to transport. This is a story that the kid told me. Me, four sponsors and one first responder, shooting pool, trying to knock away the pain of yesterday, shown on the even news. Watching my uncle chuggle duels, recalling people, places, and events I didn't know he knew. His hardened face was wide open, showing his missing front tooth. With pride and joy by the end of the night, only awake to the same horrifying clues that scarred half my life. Being struck by my uncle's postpartum abuse brought clarity to his destructive plight. Remembering violent images through two black eyes, two innocent hands, trying to calm down a man society used to trying to calm down a man society used to idolize. Shit, I used to idolize his Marine and fireman lives until I realized real wars and fires never truly die. Staring at an empty bottle of Bacardi 189th on the top of a watershed rehab pamphlet next to a lighter and crack pipe. And since I can't save or burn a house, I dial 911 on 9/11 to save Auntie's life. That's a piece from the DIFUS chapter that just captures the subtleties of abuse, the conflict, to be in a household with two individuals and one of them is losing themselves to addiction. And you can tell that the boy loves his uncle, but after his uncle submits to addiction, his uncle turns into the monster that terrorizes us. I just wanted to capture that in a small space.
And you did that. You did just that. And I understand that, and I can relate because a lot of my poetry is based around the same topics: children in dysfunctional homes and having to live through crisis. And even my book, Breathing Through Concrete, tells those stories of those young lives. So I can definitely appreciate that work. And
I need a copy.
I'm sorry.
I need a copy of that book.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll make sure that I give you the link for your autograph copy directly after the show. Yeah. I appreciated that poem. It resonated with me. a lot of us, we step into that world, and when we're trying to heal, not only ourselves but others, with this spoken word, with this poetry, telling those stories, because those kids, they're trapped in lives, and they're not able to speak often, and if they are, they don't know how to speak often. So it's an amazing feat, and I'm glad that there's somebody else out there in the trenches with me, Keith. That piece really hit me. It hit me hard. Thank you.
Like, I mean, a lot of your work throughout the book is very transparent. You cut no corners. You just tell it like it is. But another thing I love is you do it in a way that's not judging, but it's like you want people to fully understand the picture that you saw or what you experienced, in either setting. Was there anything, in the book that you were hesitant to reveal? I know, I even in my own book there were some things I questioned, like, should I really put this in the book? And if you can talk about that particular section that was difficult.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for your observation. You can tell your right hand is active because the way you read and you observe. I mean, that's like one of the highest compliments, because that you can tell somebody really grasps your message, and that's why we do it. To answer your question, anything related to my kids was extremely tricky, because it's not just them. When I'm talking about them, I'm also talking about their mothers.
Mm,
I wanted to do it in a very respectful way, but I also understood the perception of the Black father.
mm,
Understood about the small story, the narrow story that's told of him. And I needed to tell a broader story, the more truthful one, that kind of shows what they call dysfunctional relationships in motion, and
mm,
that every male doesn't fit into the category that the oppressor has placed them in.
Mhm.
But I had to do it respectfully, because although I'm not in love with them, I still love them the same. And they are queens, even though we're not sharing a kingdom and building it together. The value is everlasting. So the back part of the book was extremely tough. It took the longest to write those narratives. I actually had to rewrite those multiple times, so much so that I commissioned a scholar, a very
mhm,
talented English major, and me and him sat down and did creative writing, where he would take, essentially he'll take all my entries, which will amount to about eight pages, and he would put red ink on this one and blue ink on that, and we would really identify to where, how can we make this effective? Because my worry is that the demographic I want to meet, the demographic I want to reach, they wouldn't understand it, or they wouldn't have patience with it. So that's why I incorporate pictures. It's all bait and hook. It's all a trick for our non-readers, because I was
mm,
one of them. I understand the influence of
mm,
a picture, and
mhm,
be short and concise. So like you're saying, I had to write it in a way to where it was right there in front of you. The metaphors is placed in a way to where it's cleanly read for someone who's not used to dissecting. And that was the
mm,
goal outside of protecting my kids and family.
Now it's clear to me where I was just discussing this book. I was meeting with another poet friend of mine, Elliot Fant, and we were talking.
Yeah,
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 it was
yeah,
just the other day.
yeah,
That's why I was like, I have
yeah,
that book, but
yeah.
actually he had the book, and we were discussing the poetry in the book. Okay, I'm clear. So I got to get my copy. That's all
Now
about.
you will get your copy, and Elliot is a brother of mine. He's a representative. He's one of the best spoken artists, performers in New Jersey. He's quietly, and I want to actually really highlight this. He's an English major, so anybody who has work that needs editing, needs formatting, who needs to understand commas and semicolons and everything, that dude has that ability. So salute to you, Elliot. You're gonna see his work on my upcoming book, The Black Collection, too.
Absolutely. So that made you feel
mhm.
real good knowing that a couple of poets were sitting down actually discussing your work in a setting.
Humbling, I'm humbled by you, and James is just somebody that I really respect. I,
It's
I
all
mean,
Mm,
I really do value, his opinion, or even that interaction is always genuine. My girl's been around him, and she talks about him very highly, and that's just a testament to his character.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm in agreement. So you have
Hmm.
more work to share with us this evening,
Yeah,
or
I got a bunch of work. Y'all tell me, how many pieces y'all would like for me to do. I'm just reading, so you tell me how much
But
time I have, and we can get it going.
before you go in, this poem in the book on page 51,
Mhm.
smeared mascara.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Uh huh.
There was this line, man. Oh my, well, few lines that really hit me. It says, "Why our institutions want us to war with the same colored skin, wearing different colored symbol. Do you understand why? Do you feel the strings pulling our lives?" I mean, mm, so true. Like,
Can
every day
can
we're
I give
being
you the back?
pinned.
Can I give you the
Yeah,
backstory
yeah,
of this?
yeah. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead,
wrote it.
please.
Yeah, this is important. And bouncing for the last 14 years, and I'm 6'3", 240 pounds. Nobody will punch me or be more aggressive quicker than a drunk black woman.
Mm,
This poem is me breaking up a fight with two dancers,
mm-hmm,
and I'm talking to her. I'm trying to connect her with her true self, which is of a queen. So the poem starts with the questions. The middle is the actual incident, and then the ending is where ultimately I want her to be. Spirit mascara is my way of saying a tribal mask
mm,
that connects you to your tribe, to your place in Africa, which will connect you to your culture, which will connect you to your higher self, which will never put you in a position to hit somebody.
mm, mm,
But
mm, mm,
that's
when you strip
that's
all of that
deep in
away
itself.
over 200 years, the only enemy is the one that looks just like you.
mm,
That's
You
deep
know,
in itself, and you telling that story, brother. A lot of people need to hear that, and they need to
mm,
find their rightful places and put those crowns back on, and not tilt it straight up.
oh, my
mm,
sister, I'll tell you this: I perform. I'll be lighting our stage up, but
Hmm.
it's in City Hall. It's in those meetings with mothers,
mm,
with battle situations. It's with that person just out of reentry, just out of prison. That person just out of rehab. That's when I gotta be my flyers. I gotta be articulate. My cadence gotta be there. My ideas gotta be strong. I mean, you can hear them. So I even say that because people always ask me, "Why you don't perform? Why you don't perform?" Because I'm too busy performing and writing. I'm
mm.
too and that has way more value. And I'm like one of the top performers within that social service stuff because it's language. But
Mm,
I'm somewhere else. Back to James, what you were seeing is this the question that I was asking the woman as I'm pulling her away.
mm-hmm.
I'm trying to connect her to her bigger, her true self.
Her higher self, yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Oh, I
absolutely.
got it. That's why I love it, because it's like, even though you're seeing the situation, you're actually seeing the potential for that individual. And not a lot of people do that in our
Mhm,
society. They want to
mhm,
always point out your flaws. They want to always, try to throw you under the bus. But what are you doing to uplift that person? What are you doing to incite the potential for the person that they can be? You know what I'm saying? And that goes on throughout your book, and I love it. And we need more of it, honestly.
we needed to be said, we needed to be documented, we needed it to be celebrated. I'm on here, this platform, because y'all two see my potential, and
Hmm.
y'all believed in your heart that my potential was worth sharing. And there's some up and coming writers, man. There's some people who are just flexing their right hand and is on the fence if I'm good enough.
Yeah.
Will anybody listen to you? Well, I'm gonna tell you this: from 10 years after selling my work,
Mm,
the demographic for you is for you. Rather it be love poetry, struggle poetry, political poetry, strip club, whatever your topic, whatever your style is, you're more than good enough. Especially if you're born from that land. It's in your blood. It's in your blood.
Talk about it.
It's been pushed back in the back of your head from programming. So, that potential, I want to really speak to that. I'll humbly want to say thank you for seeing that in me.
Welcome. You're welcome. And
Definitely
I agree. I agree. So many voices are like held in shackles because they don't feel that they're good enough to be on the stage, to speak their truths. And that's one thing, again, that we pride in when people speak. This platform is open and it's available. If you got something that you want to say and it's worth hearing, step on up. Step on up. We'll give you the audience.
You owe it to the world. Like, poetry is the voice that's not heard,
And I come to believe is not such thing as good and bad poetry. I believe there's such good and bad interpretation. Willing interpretation.
Can you
know what I mean? It's just like, poetry is so versatile. Yeah. It's versatile the way you digest it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to put that on repeat. So I said I'm gonna need you to put that on repeat because so many people don't understand that in poetry there is a space for each and every voice, and no one should be shunned because they do it like this or they do it like that or they say it like this or they say it like that. It's your story, and it's how you want to rap. And like you said, how it's interpreted, that's not your business. That's how the person receiving it and what negative or positive energy, what they bringing out into the world and inside of themselves. So thank you for saying that there's room for everyone. There's room.
You do matter, and especially with social media, you can touch billions of people. Literally, you can take your poem and throw it to China within one click.
Absolutely.
One click of the button, and you'll find that it's people that will dissect and decipher it way different. And I will also tell you, like, anybody who's now doing it, like, just do it. Just do it. Don't worry about friends. Don't worry about family and friends. Don't worry about anything else. Just do it. They're gonna come later. Just be the evidence and get the work done.
And don't wait for someone's approval, which is the case most of the time, waiting for those that we feel are the seniors or the gifted in the community to approve you as a valid poet. There's no such thing.
No such thing at all. At all.
Indeed. Give us another poem, brother. Let them hear some more of this introspection and this.
I'm gonna flick through and see where we land because I want to save, I guess, a couple for the other one for the end. So let's see what we got here. Pardon me. All right. Well, this is a short one. This is in my expungement chapter. This captures the feeling of not having employment and not being able to live up to your own standards and trying to better your present condition while reconciling your past. The name of the poem is Criminal History on Job Application. It's a blow to my ego, my stability, my dreams. It flows through my bankroll, deflating my accountability, my self-esteem. It's everything when I apply anywhere to be something. It's something else reducing employment opportunities to next to nothing. Taking anything to have something to feel like someone. Standing in line on 990 Broad Street, waiting for a career counselor to offer me a piece of financial freedom, knowing I am him, but I'm reminded of my past. The next piece I want to do is this pretty much chronicling struggles, but this is more overcoming it and embracing and looking forward to the upcoming struggles. It simply goes, I have struggles, but I made it. I have wisdom from past mistakes. I have focus and patience. I have perseverance. I have encouragement. I have love. I have acknowledgement. I have support and hugs. I have accomplishments. I have a story to publish. I have relationships to mend. I have plans for lost friends. I have love for distant relatives. I have natural curiosity for my heritage. I have to book a trip. I have to give the motherland a kiss. I have to give my mother a kiss. I have to hear my family history from my father's lips. I have to tell my kids about the role I took to become a graduate, the struggles I endured, and how I made it. Those are my those are my pieces. So we essentially did one from each chapter, chronicling different perspectives, different times in my life. The first two chapters is my observations of other people, whether it be a dancer. James pointed out a dancer in conflict. I read one about essentially a dancer who came here about 7 or 8, and was holding on to her experiences from her land, but was being compromised by money and everything you got to do to obtain it. Then we talked about a child that deals with abuse by his uncle's hands. Then I went into the expungement process with filling out for a job application with a criminal record. And then lastly, is just overcoming struggle.